Jerry Smith with the Alabama Forestry Commission. I'm working as PIO, Public Information Officer. Today we want to tell you a little bit about what the Forestry Commission does here. We're at Geneva State Forest in Geneva County. It's a 72-acre state forest dealing with the flora and the fauna of Alabama, dealing in timber management, wildlife management. It's multiple resource management. We have currently have three full-time employees that are working here. That one of their primary responsibilities is the management of this natural resource. As today we're having new employee training. We have employees that have been with Alabama Forestry Commission for less than a year that are here getting some training, familiarization with equipment. And so as part of their duties, they're not stationed here at Geneva State Forest. They're stationed in different counties throughout the state of Alabama, and primarily in South Alabama. But one of our primary tasks and responsibilities is control of wildfires. So we have someone on call basically that's available to call in each county 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so we just don't hire someone and turn them loose out there with heavy equipment, which is what these guys are here training on for the purpose of wildfire suppression. So we don't hire them, don't put them on equipment without giving them training and familiarization. That's what we're about here today, so that they'll be better equipped, better educated on how to maintain that equipment so that their job can be done efficiently and safely, and in a economically depressed condition that state Alabama is with reduced funding. We have to make our equipment last longer and operate more efficiently. So that's what they're here doing, is learning how to do that, become safer in doing their job and doing it in a more efficient manner.
Okay, what are some of the things they're going to learn today?
Well, they're having in classroom familiarization with policies and procedures initially. They'll watch some videos on safety, some preventative maintenance videos on trucks and heavy equipment. Then we'll move on to actual hands-on, have a piece of equipment out here, and we're talking about bulldozers and transports that move that equipment from point A to point B to wildfires and our other jobs and duties. So they're going to have hands-on preventative maintenance training on that equipment so that its life will be prolonged, so that it will give us more service over a number of years. And then following up in the next 2 days, then they will actually be operating, beginning out on those bulldozers, on those transports, learning how to safely operate those in different conditions, how to push with the blade, how to plow with the plow that enables us to extinguish wildfires that may occur that we have to respond to. So they're going to get more hands-on, and they won't be fully trained when they leave here because that comes over time and for job experience, but it's an initial starting point.
What's a water break? Maybe that's not the right term, but I see this out here in the forest a lot, where there's these big mounds of dirt, and it's kind of stops the water from going in certain areas.
Right.
That's done with what? What does that?
Those water bars and turnouts is what we call them. They're primarily on roads and trail systems, and as part of our job as resource managers, we're very concerned with water quality. We're very blessed here in the state of Alabama to have such abundant water resources, but water quality is very important to us. So anytime you disturb the ground, you can have movement of sediment. You want to do as much as you can to prevent that sediment from entering streams and creeks and keep it in place. So when we've had to either suppress a fire by pushing a line or plowing a line with the heavy equipment, these guys are learning how to come back in behind where they've initially established those fire breaks or those fire lines, take that blade and learn how to put these berms up or in our fire breaks, put these water bars, and so they're designed such that when water runs down that fire break or down the road or that trail, it just doesn't hit that and blow that berm out. It actually disperses and moves that water out into the woodlands where it can be filtered and that sediment not run off and run into our streams and creeks and lakes.
And there's a specific way to do that.
There is a rhyme and a reason to building that, and that's part of what they're going to get in the days following today. They're going to get hands-on experience and instruction on how to do that, how to pack that soil, how to angle it, how to do those turnouts that go into the woods for that filtration to occur.
A lot of the septic planter on the top part. Supposed to grease that tractor at least every 10 hours, grease all the junk and all this. I say cleanliness, I consider, if they have a little bit of dirt on or something, generally it's clean, all this is not filled in with dirt or whatever. So we just say this is generally clean, because they're gonna have dirt on a long time. So. And inside the doors you got sight glasses, so you don't have to pull a dipstick to that. And like I say, this is the sight glass right here. So if you see oil in there, then on the other side is the transmission sight glass over there. Like I say, electrical, you just look at the wires, make sure none don't have any kind of a skint mark or frayed marks, or if you see a wire pulled out from somewhere, you may want to just try to find a connector or something where it came from, and you can just get a little electrical. What I call wearing, you got a part of the blade, that's the original part of the blade, and then the cutting edges, when the blade and the cutting edge get real close, it's time to flip them over. Like I say here. You think it's going to flip? Yeah, you have to go from the bottom side up underneath. Like I say, we kind of breezing over everything. We just trying to cover everything, but on your plow, one thing that you check for cracks on your hitch back here where it joins. Look for cracks back there. You look for cracks in your
as long as it's choppers, okay. I just wanted to go.
Yeah, all tied together. Okay. And like I say, really, if you got chops like these right here, just like on my truck, I don't think I could chop it like this here, but you can take the chop, put inside of there and inside of there. That's the same result. What you're working, what you're using. All right. And like I say, going down to all vehicles, your truck should have all of this here. I won't cover that unless y'all want me to address anything on there. Jack and lug wrench. No truck has jack and lug wrench to this side. You have it in your pickup. Yeah. So when you're checking that, that applies to your pickup truck. You should have that. Should have an axe, 2 cutter rake, 2 fast water, a shovel. No problem. Okay, the reservoir for the radiator is on this side. And most all your radiators on your big trucks will have some kind of sight glass where you can check it.
The truck's black, though, isn't it?
Like I said, most all your big trucks will have a sight glass to check the radiator, which is going to indicate it right there. And you want to check it while it's cold. When it's hot, you get solid breeze. I guess.
I'm Jerry Smith with the Alabama Forestry Commission. We're at Geneva State Forest in Geneva County, Alabama. We have new employee equipment familiarization going on today. You can probably see in the background we have some equipment and 11 new employees that are new, relatively new with the Alabama Forestry Commission. They're getting equipment familiarization, and what that means is they're going to be operating heavy equipment, bulldozers and transports, so that they can become more familiar with them, their operation, their maintenance, how to use them properly, safely, and efficiently, so that we can get longer use and better use out of the equipment that we have. And so it makes them safer employees and safer for the folks they work with. Just makes them more efficient. While they're operating with equipment, there's what we call PPE, personal protective equipment, that each person is required to wear while doing equipment operations. That includes a hard hat. If they're operating the bulldozer, they are also required to use ear protection, safety eyewear, goggles, or other approved safety eyewear protect their vision. Also, in firefighting, we use yellow Nomex shirts that increases visibility for their safety. Also, it's flame retardant to protect them from heat and from fire. They're also wearing Nomex pants, which are not totally flame resistant, but they're somewhat resistant. It's an added layer of protection that the Nomex has that gives them added protection from heat and flames. Also required to wear lace-up leather boots for foot protection. While operating equipment, they're also required to wear leather gloves, totally leather gloves. So it's for the person's protection from rubbing against sharp objects, of course, and from heat and from flames.
Explain what they're doing.
What we've got are the guys on the bulldozers removing dead snags. A snag is a standing tree that is no longer alive. Can cause you problems when you're doing a control burn, or if you're in a wildfire situation and these are close to your perimeter control lines, they can catch on fire, throw sparks across the line. You see, there is some technique involved depending on the size and how fresh the snag is or how much resilience it has. The idea is to get it down on the ground so it doesn't, if it catches on fire, it doesn't throw cinders across your fire control line. There's also, from the operator standpoint, you don't want an 80-foot snag falling back on the bulldozer. So depending on how large, how tall that thing is, how strong or weak, those operators have to make that determination when they ease up to it, or reviewing it before they try to put it on the ground. So there is some degree of skill involved in that. And so that's what they're getting a feel for, is how easily, how readily these snags will come down, depending on where you place the blade on it, how high up on the stem that you place the blade against the tree, the snag, which way it's leaning, where's the weight in the top of those snags, which way it will readily fall and safely fall. You don't want it falling, snapping back onto the tractor. You can damage the tractor and potentially hurt the person operating. Well, we've got a leaner that's a snag, a dead stem, a dead snag that either he tried to take it down and it hung up, that's top hung in another green tree. It's broken off, so of course it's at a severe angle, so you don't want to put your equipment in danger, or your person in danger, more importantly. So you can't push that from underneath it So I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but what I would do is come from the side and hook the corner of my blade up under that tree, not exposing myself or equipment to that tree falling. It's already pretty much committed in one direction. And what you could do is just hook the corner of your blade up under that tree that's still off the ground and pull it back, so you'd be backing your equipment away from any danger, and at the same time giving some movement to that stem, allowing it to loosen where it's hung up and come to the ground side and get it to free up from the top. I would probably put the corner of my blade under it and back away from it. And as we mentioned there, you're trained to run with your blade 6 to 8 inches off the ground. Should be operating with a seat belt on. And the reason for operating with your blade that close to the ground, if you have it stuck way up in the air and you're running in dense cover, you may run up on a stump, get what we call high centered, get that stump up under the belly of that bulldozer, and it'll then spin around like a top. And if you're in a wildfire situation, your equipment or personnel could be overcome by an approaching wildfire. If you've got it close to the ground, then it may jar that person, give him a good jolt when he hits that stump, but he'll know there's a stump there that he may not could see, and he'll know that he's either got to work around it or approach from a different angle. That tree is apparently soft enough, they've determined it's soft enough. They thought he might could free it from a safe angle, which would be the angle he's currently approaching from, and give it a little nudge and free it up without endangering himself or his equipment. So we'll see if that works. He's raising his blade, going to run it up higher on the stem, and then probably mash down or mash forward to see if it'll loosen it from where it's hung up. And it did work. You did see the top of that tree fold back because he had down pressure on it. The very top, probably 16 to 20 feet of that stem, did fall back toward the bulldozer, which you don't want that, but he was still at a safe distance that it did not cause a hazard. And you learn, as in most instances, by doing and seeing in different scenarios and see what can be done and what is effective. Now, where when you turn those dozers around, they tend to pile up dirt and cut into the soil, making it uneven going. And what the instructor is telling the operator now is where the land has been torn up and where it's been bermed up, should not say torn up, where it's bermed up, he's smoothing his fire lane out. He got at one end of the area that was bermed up, and then put down pressure on his blade on the front of the tractor and is backing, and what we call back dragging. It's grading, and it's much easier to do going backwards than it is forward. That blade will actually what we call float. It's not a rigid down pressure, it sort of floats, where that it has some give to it. That soil that's bermed up, rolled up, it will smooth it back out and make it look much better. And for anyone that comes back in walking or on an ATV or driving a truck, it makes it a smoother trail or road to use. Well, it's our Alabama Forestry Commission policy. Oftentimes it's one person will get to a fire before the other, and it's our policy with the Alabama Forestry Commission, the first AFC employee to arrive sizes up the fire. Is it burning intensely? Is it a little bit? Is it size of a truck? Is it multiple acres? I can't tell how big it is. You sort of learn to size up and say, okay, I need help or I don't need help. It is our policy, and it's a matter of the person's experience and gaining confidence in what they can do and how they size up a fire, that there be at least two people on a fire before we take suppression efforts. And what that means is usually there is a volunteer fireman there, and that person can serve as a secondary person to be with you when you start suppression. And that just means if you were to have an accident or you were to become injured, someone would be there to know that and could call for help. If the Alabama Forestry Commission comes on site and says, you know, it's a 100-acre fire and it's really ripping and roaring, I know that I'm going to need additional units. He may decide to go ahead and scout the fire out and get further information and call for backup to get that second Alabama Forestry Commission employee en route and on site before he actually takes on the ground suppression efforts as a safety precaution to him, to him.
And all fire suppression by the Alabama Forestry Commission is with machinery?
Not all is. The majority of it is with heavy equipment, machinery, bulldozers. We do have hand tools. We do receive hand tool training, how to work in unison with other folks, because one person with a rake can't control much fire. You just work yourself to death. So we have had hand tool training in order to establish fire lanes and fire breaks, but it's a very difficult task. It depends on the size and the type of fuel. We suppress a lot of fires on the sides of the road that are in short grass, and maybe we have water on our pickups and we can extinguish them as quick as we get there, and so further help is not needed or required. So we put out a lot of fires like that, but that's part of the training, is to know when do I need help and what can I do safely without additional support help. You maybe going to get that next one that's just 6 or 7 inches diameter in a short snag. Much of the time you can just come up and just nudge it a little bit and they'll come on down, depending on their degree of decay. And I think that's what he's going to get, 1 or 2 more little ones right there. Yeah, they're pretty brittle. And usually come in with the side of the blade. Most of your power, of course, is in the middle part of the blade. You've got just better leverage. So if you have a large diameter, heavy snag, you usually approach it with the middle part of your blade. The little ones, you can just use the corner. Many times just nudge them and they'll come on down. They always want to try to approach it from what I would say is the uphill side, or if it's leaning in one direction, you want to approach it and let it go ahead and fall the way it's leaning. So your approach is dependent upon the size and length of that snag. Those are pretty brittle. They're coming down readily. Jerry Smith with the Alabama Forestry Commission. We're here in Geneva County, and we're training new employees, helping them become more familiar, more efficient, more safe operators of the heavy equipment. One of our major tasks in what we're supposed to do with the Alabama Forestry Commission, we're tasked with the protection of our natural resources, which includes water, timber, wildlife. If people are out there and they're interested in preserving these things and having them for future generations, and here in Alabama, that's one of our jobs. And due to budget restraints, we've lost a number of employees, a number of firefighters. So it's made our job much more difficult. Our losses and fires have losses to fires have increased over the years due to loss of people we have available to do that. So if you're a landowner or a homeowner and you're interested in preserving Alabama's natural resources, we need the service of the Alabama Forestry Commission, and we would ask that if you're interested in preserving these things, that you contact your local legislators and senators and representatives and say, you know, the Alabama Forestry Commission is viable and needs to be upheld, and we need those funds in order to provide those services to the citizens and landowners of Alabama.